Find my intro music. I lost my intro music. Oh, no, here it is. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Into the Night with Shawn Kelly. How is everybody doing today? You know what? I'm doing great. You know what? I had a hell of a good day today. And I don't know, I was doing the Irish jig and I was all excited because actually, this is my first night actually controlling the show instead of having my producer do it. So I'm like real excited about. I just did a good job last night, and I'm not being egotistical or nothing like that, but um, it's just a good day today. Uh, Into the Night is on 105.3 New Orleans and 107.7 Mississippi. Okay, and I just have a couple a thing to say from my producer, and my producer tells me to visit Joe. That's his name. Visit Joe tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's Central Time to win a trip to Los Angeles. So visit Joe tomorrow at 6 p.m. CST to win the trip to LA. Well, I got a very good, exciting show for us tonight. Um, my guest actually got me and Jenny into, we actually got into here, and I don't talk to him that much, but I should. But he's a big deal for me. He might not know that, but right now he does. So what I'm going to do, his name is Shawn Graham, is the host of the thought-provoking Chasing the Truth with Shawn Graham podcast dealing with the paranormal and all things unexplained. The show launched in May of 2018 and instantly created a buzz throughout the paranormal community. That this program was something very different. Graham is both an expert and uh, earnest seeker, I think that's what it is, of the answers to many of the paranormal community's most asked questions. Prior to the launch of Chasing the Truth, Graham spent more than 15 years in the medical field. During his tenure in the healthcare sector, he suffered a leg amputation stemming from a very serious flesh eating infection. He was on life support for more than a week. During his time on life support, Graham had a lengthy near death experience, NDE, while in a coma. He had encounters with God, souls, angels, demons, and other entities. Graham later recovered completely with a new heightened sense of the world with full knowledge of God's existence and bound with all of God's questions, creations, I'm sorry. Following his life after the NDE, he had been searching for fellow travelers who have experienced paranormal events and other near death experiences. Graham is a native of Southwest Virginia and has experienced paranormal encounters throughout his life. His show is oh, his show is an eccentric mix of paranormal sprinkled with personal anecdotes and jokes. And underlying all of this is his obvious connection and devotion to God. Chasing the Truth with Shawn Graham debuted on Dark Waters Radio. Since launching, it has been ranked in the top 5 paranormal shows on TalkStreamLive.com, paranormal radio app. And he was on UPRN 107.7 in NOLA. Uh, Now Graham's running his own show on the YouTube channel, Chasing the Truth. And without further ado, I want to introduce my friend Shawn Graham. Hey, buddy.
Well, hey, Mr. Kelly, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I appreciate you asking me on for tonight.
Oh, man, you just don't know. I've been wanting to do it like forever, but to be honest with you, it took me almost 4 years in order to get to asking people to come on the show.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
and
So
I
what?
figured, and I figured with you, you're the one that actually talked to me and Jenny about Chasing Profit coming over here to UPRN Radio, and I owe you a lot for doing that because our show and our names are out there now, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It was just a half a second typing in a box to Jenny, and they're like, "Well, where can we put our podcast?" And I said, "Oh, try UPRN." That was it.
And it worked. It
So,
worked.
oh, yeah.
Hi, Danielle. Danielle's so
Danielle
polite.
Diva, I was on her show Sunday night, and Impromptu Truth, hey brother, and then her show Ashley. Appreciate y'all coming over. So, what do you want to talk about tonight? You want to do
I,
paranormal, or what the heck you want to talk
well,
about,
we
man?
are going to talk paranormal, your near-death experience. We'll take it from the top. How did you get
No,
into the paranormal field, buddy?
how'd I get in the paranormal field? Well, November of 2015, late November, I wound up having a leg amputation stemming from necrotizing fasciitis, that flesh-eating bug that you hear that's so terrible out there. And they actually amputated my left leg twice, once below the knee and then once above the knee. And I was on the ventilator for about 10 days. And during that entire time, I had this robust near-death experience that continues to this day, actually. When I go to sleep during the night, I have lucid, vivid dreams every night. I
Mm-hmm.
wake up, and some nights are not so bad. Some night, then I wake up the next morning and go, hey, I feel pretty good. And the next morning, on bad nights, like if I dream about demons and hell and stuff, I wake up discombobulated and wondering what the heck did I just experience. Yeah,
Right.
it's not it's not like a usual dream where you're just like playing along and watching this film. It's like I take part in every bit of it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that.
Now,
But
when
after,
you, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead. You ask a
When you had
question.
that near death and that thing when you were in a coma, you said you saw angels, demons, God.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, with how did you feel when you saw God and the angels and stuff?
When I saw God, uh, I was belittled, amazed that He would allow me in His presence.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that was actually one of the things when I didn't interview this lady, but I was interviewing a near-death experiencer. And, most near-death experiencers do not have a fear of death. And
Right.
that's one of my characteristics. I don't fear death, any shape, form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were talking, and wasn't really comparing, well, I guess it was comparing notes in the back of my head, but we got to that point, and I was like, why do I not fear death? And I never really had that sense or that knowledge right there in front of my face. And as soon as I figured that out, as soon as I did that, boom, I was in front of God.
Oh
And I
wow.
started crying on the phone with the lady I was doing a pre-interview that didn't pan out. But everything that occurred during that time with God, that first moments with God, just rushed me all at once. All the elation, the happiness, the sadness, the oh my God, I'm here. I thought I was going to go to hell, which I did go to hell,
Uh,
but
uh,
Yeah, even when I dream of God now, it's just peace. It's like I'm home.
Hmm.
There's no other place I'd rather be.
Do you actually do some meditation to get there sometimes?
To
To that
well,
peace. To
to
that
that
peace.
peace. About a year, well, actually, February 11th of 2022, I had a big funk. I was just so depressed, and my friend Julie knew me very well and was chatting with me and stuff, and said, "Shawn, what's going on?" And we talked for a little bit. She said, "Have you talked to God about this?" And it was like, "Holy cow! Why don't you talk some sense to me?" You know.
Hmm.
And she said, "Well, make everything in your room dark and ready to pray to God.
Right.
Meditate on it." And I wound up in front of God, just like boom. It's like I instantly was in my near-death experience. Just I wasn't in my body anymore.
Right.
So if I was meditating, I guess that was meditation there. While I'm at that point, I hadn't written anything at all for my near-death experience at all. I had kind of offhandedly said, "Yeah, I'll write something," or but nothing saying, "Hey, I'm going to write something." Hadn't
Right.
wrote the first thing about it.
Huh.
But God said, I was in front of God, and I was literally thinking of suicide at that point.
Okay.
And I got in front of God and I said, "I've done everything that I think I should be doing. I've been doing all these, radio shows and podcasts, and been on shows and talking about it. Anybody asked me about my near-death experience, and just kind of word salad my way through telling them." And he said, "That's not enough." And I said, "What else do I need to do?" He said, "Once you come to be with me, your words or your voice will fade." I was
Oh.
like, "Oh, okay." Next thing was you have to write it down. You have to write my gifts to you. Not the near death experience. He just said, "I'm gonna write. I have to write my gifts to you."
Hmm.
And I said, "Okay." And I didn't say okay at that point. I panned through my whole memory of what had occurred to me in my life and up to that point. And I thought, well, that'll take the rest of my life. And the next thing he said, "Well, this life is not my own. My soul's not my own." And I said, "Yes, God, I will do this for you."
Hmm.
Soon as I did that, snap out of this trance, meditation, prayer, or whatever, it was a few hours. And I woke up. And the night before, I did a near death experience call in show where people just called in and asked me a question about my near death experience, and I would fill in the blanks until ad nauseum. And the next thing I knew, I didn't say, "Hey, I was going to write a book" at all. Within that span of when I started my prayer to the time I woke up out of this prayer, I had 3 emails asking me, "Hey, I want to help you write this book."
Wow.
Three,
That's wow.
it was like it was the first of many confirmations after that point that God just says, "Hey, Shawn, I know you're hard headed and you won't believe anything that I'm going to show you, so I'm going to show you this ain't just imagination."
Hmm.
So that was the first thing. And I talked to a guy by the name of Greg out of Kentucky, of all places, just, well, literally just a handful of miles away from where I live now. And we talked for a little while. And I said, "Well, I don't even know where to start." And I found the app, and I still use that app to this day to write, and it stores it off premise. And since then, well, I jumped ahead. Stores it off premise. And then I said, "Well, I don't even know where to begin." He said, "Well, you talked about a story last night. Why don't you start there?" And it was actually the story or the memory that got me out of. It got me out of a place that I didn't quite care about. And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay. Within about an hour after that, I was writing the first 14 pages. Before I went to bed that night, I had written 14 pages about my near-death
Wow.
experience.
Hmm.
Since then, I estimate I've probably written about 500 to 600 pages,
God bless you,
and
man.
I haven't even scratched the surface of
Hmm.
it. I have not. A lot of people from Dark Waters to everybody that knows I'm writing ask me, "Oh, can't you go ahead and publish a book now?" No, God hasn't put
No,
it on me to publish a book now.
right,
I kind of got it in the back of my head that I'll have enough to publish 3 books before I peel enough to publish one.
right. I understand.
So
Well, I remember when we had you on Chasing Prophecy. Um, I talked to you about my near-death experience, and I'll share that tonight, real quick.
okay,
When back in 1983, I was in the Navy, and I was taking a drug called antabuse, and that is to wean you off alcohol. Well, what happened was, while I had that drug in my system for over a year, that day I didn't get my pill, and I was like really depressed and stuff like that. And so I drank a whole fifth of Jack Daniels, and I died. Okay, I was dead.
oh wow,
But you know what? I didn't see no light. I didn't see no God. I didn't see no angels. What I did see was black, dark, gray. Do you know what I mean? There was
mm-hmm.
nothing pleasant about it. Nothing pleasant about it. It was nothing. No, no light, no nothing. It was completely black and dark and gray. It was really sad. It was bad. And so when I came out, um, I started to see things, hear things, and feel things that were not there. Right. And that's where my introduction to a higher spiritual calling came. Okay. And I just wanted to share that with you because I saw that you wanted, the near death. I wanted to bring that up because you were very helpful for me whenever that show was going on. And again, I truly appreciate it.
Well,
So
I appreciate you sharing that with me.
yeah,
The
um,
I
it's
found a lot of people that have near death experiences that when they start telling me about it, it's like I connect with them on certain levels. That I can feel that they've been there. Now I've talked to some people that I didn't get that feeling at all.
right.
You know,
Now, see what's really crazy, dude. After the show, you told Jenny to give you your number, but I never did call you. But it just seems like we had that connection. Do you know what I mean? Just like you
yeah, yeah,
explained, it
yeah.
was just like that. And but I you're an amazing person, and you've been through a lot of stuff, and I just enjoy listening to you. Um, so tell me some about some of the investigations that you have been on. It looks like you have a couple videos you'd like to share.
Well, this old place that I live in now, I'm in my dining room. To tell you the truth, this old place has been around about 125 years, and it's haunted to the hilt.
Okay.
So last year, I blessed this place really well with holy water and baptismal salts, and got rid of something.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that point, my family bought this house and this property back when I was probably 17, 16 or 17. I'm 53 now, so they've been living there here this long.
Mm-hmm.
And from the moment I set foot in this house up till that point, and I can't remember what day it was last year, but after I blessed this house really well, it was like eyes were always on me. I heard disembodied voices. I saw full apparitions, shadow figures. Things moved around. Junk was thrown at people in this house. Actually, I was doing a Halloween show. I was a guest for, I forgot who it was, but I was doing a Halloween show and went on there to the Halloween show. And I can't show you. The picture's not there. Well, anyway, I was going through, I had my setup in my bedroom stuffed in my closet. to reduce the amount of echo and stuff on the audio. So I had it all set up in there, and I went past the a picture of Jesus on my wall. And then, I've got 11 cameras set up in my house for reasons I won't divulge here. But as I was moving through the hallway, something grabbed a hold of it was like a little shelf on the side of the wall, pulled it down, and the picture of Jesus landed face down on a little table underneath it.
Okay.
And I was like, what the heck was that? I had no clue how that happened. That had been up there for a good couple of decades, if not more, on that wall. Why that particular day? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed the picture after I got finished with my podcast, put it up, and it's still on my mantle in the living room right now.
Wow.
But I have had a conversation. Well, I've told stories and named a demon one night. For all weird. Why the heck did I do that? But anyway, it was around.
Why?
That's why? Not good. Yeah. I did a podcast with Dark Waters one year, right before Halloween, and same setup while I was stuffed my microphone in the closet and stuff, and I had a big stick lamp that was over top of my head, and I had my little MacBook right there, and it was illuminated by the stick lamp, and he mentioned a demon's name, and all of a sudden it got dark, like something was between me and the stick lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, something pulled my shirt. Now I've got to tell this story. And I was like, oh, God. And I think it was the next Halloween, or somewhere pretty close to that. The next time, Halloween, I did like 6 hours of just telling paranormal stories. New stuff that was personal to me. And I never repeated the same story. And I jumped on... I called into, who was that lady that took over for Art Bell? I can't remember her name.
Oh, you know what? I don't know, bud.
So. Well, anyway, I jumped on her show and told us, Heather Wade, that's it. I jumped on her show. I was on her show for 4 hours one night too, so as a guest. But during that course of telling stories for about 6 hours, I felt something on the bottom of my only leg, and I scratched it, and I pulled up my hand. It was bloodied.
Oh.
I'm sitting in a wheelchair that has nothing there to say, hey, could stick me, obviously. And I looked, I should have I've got the picture somewhere on my hard drive, but I don't have it. But I had scratch marks down the back of my calf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, But after I rebuked everything and blessed this house, that night when I went to bed, it actually felt like a spring day in here. That night when I went to bed, it was so starkly different in here that I didn't feel any eyes on me. Actually, for the next week or two, actually 2 weeks, it was just as soon as I rolled into my bedroom, right in front of the staircase, which I'm going to show you a short video here in just a little bit of something sticking its head out of my bedroom door. But it was so different not having those eyes, like something was looking down from upstairs down at me.
Right.
Yeah. And I still don't have that. I've run into some shadow figures here recently for some odd reason, and rebuked them, and they went away. But this old house is just crazy. Paranormally.
Do you live near a battlefield down
there? Do I live? I know this is old Cherokee land. All through here, the Jefferson National Forest is literally 5 miles from me.
Okay.
Bigfoot's all over the place. There's nothing to, see deer in my backyard or front yard or running down the road in the middle of the night. But this old place I live in was built by the first grocer in my little town I live in.
Okay.
and the actual concrete slab that was the old remnants of this general store is where I park cars on now. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff. I've seen a full body apparition of 1,800 ladies standing at the top of the steps looking down at me like, why in the hell are you in my house? I come home way before I moved back in here permanently, but this was during college days. And I come home one night after doing a clinical in respiratory therapy at a hospital, and it was probably about well after midnight, probably 1 or 2 o'clock, something like that. And I went upstairs to go to my bedroom. Everything was off, no lights or anything. I was using the light from the upstairs window from the street lamp outside
Mm-hmm.
to navigate get upstairs. And I'd, quietly as a church mouse go upstairs and look up, and there's this 5 foot nothing lady with her hair up in a bun and, high collar with a little opaque pendant on her cameo right here on her
Right.
neck. Looked like she's dressed to go to the Sunday school. Dress all the way down to her ankles and just looking at me. And I stared her down, she stared at me, and why I didn't scream like a little girl, I don't know. So I was feeling for the cereal switch down at the bottom of the step. And I just about lost my balance, and I look back, flip the light on, look up, and she's gone.
Okay.
I have heard people, or a little old lady, sound like a little old lady, sing a hymn. I couldn't make out the hymn, but it was that sea-songy hymn without the music. Woke me up one morning while I was going to college on a Sunday. It was the only day I had off to really sleep in and be get that extra sleep I needed because I was doing a full-time job and going to college full-time.
Right.
And I heard that. I thought it was my grandfather's little radio. He always had that little radio, or one of the radios playing gospel music or something. And I fell asleep listening to somebody singing a hymn. So I woke up and I heard my grandparents come home from church, and I was like, oh, well, I got to get up and go to the bathroom or whatever, and walk down and talk to Granny and say, hey, Granny, did you turn off that little radio that was down here? She said, I don't know what you're talking about, Shawn. I said,
Oh,
well,
wow.
there was a radio on, and I heard the hymn being sung. You'll just have to talk to George. All right. Well, Papa walks through. I was actually right here is the kitchen, right where it happened, right back there. But he come in through here behind me, and there was a cabinet right back here that you can't see, but it's no longer there. And I said, Papa, where's that little yellow radio about yay big? And it was on. Did you leave it on? And he pulled. It was like magic. A magic trick. He pulled it out from behind the wall and said, you talking about this thing right here? Yeah, it's not on. Is there any radios on in the house? Nope.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely not. Since then, I have seen shadow figures. Actually, right there, where that, I don't know if you can see an angel right there, but about right there, this table was pulled out a little bit further. I rolled in through this door behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Standing right there was a figure about this tall, black.
Huh.
Solid black with a little hat on. And I was like, holy cow. Did a double take and it's gone. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah. I've went through the whole gambit of, did my blood pressure fall or did it rise or whatever? And I was like, no, there's no way I could do that with me rolling in a chair. I can't rise and fall and create that momentary blood pressure difference that would cause you to black out or see black spots or anything like that. So, yeah, that's just silly.
Okay.
To me to think about that.
Now, I know from talking to a lot of people that when I had that death situation happen, and what was taught to me was that when that happens, your old soul goes out and a brand new one jumps in. Okay. Is it possible And it don't have to be a death or a near death. It could be a very tragic situation that has happened to a person, you know, bad stuff happening, and where it was very traumatic. And the soul would leave and another one would pop in.
Hmm.
What do you think of that? Be honest.
What I think is it's a possibility to a certain extent. I think that I'm not in the same dimension. I know a couple of people will balk at that. I don't think I'm in the same dimension. I don't think I'm in the same body I left in.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
because of a lot of stuff that has occurred that I have absolute memory of certain things that occurred or actually was growing in the backyard. That I was like, there was some gooseberry bushes out in this backyard that we played croquet around when we were little kids, and I. When I come back home, I went into the utility room and was looking out back. I said, "Where's those gooseberry bushes?" And I was talking to a family member, and he said, "What gooseberry bushes?" I said, "The ones we played around when we were kids." So there's never been gooseberry bushes out in the backyard.
Oh wow.
And I'm like,
Okay.
okay. Then there was incident that my sister, when she was in her, I think, late teens, early 20s, she was in a very bad car wreck. And I remember the car wreck, but I don't remember her ever losing most of her childhood memories.
Okay.
So that's new to me here, but she lost most of her childhood memories here.
Uh,
But
with
then,
me,
no.
with me, when that happened to me, I was 83. I was like 20 years old, and to this day, I do not recollect anything growing up to that day that happened. Now I remember after that day, and now I remember what happened. But when it came to being 20 years old and below, I
Hmm.
don't know nothing, dude. I have no memory of my childhood. Little bits like this, you know what I mean? So who knows? Maybe I'll get it back. Maybe I won't. I mean that's what happened to me, and I mean wanted to share that with you.
Oh, wow. Well, during my near death experience, I remembered every little minute detail. I was exposed to memories that were both embarrassing. I didn't want to remember a lot of some of it. Some of it was fantastic.
Hmm.
But those dreams I was telling you about, the lucid, vivid dreams that I've been having for the last year. Before that, I never had any dreams that maybe once every 3 or 4 months I'd have a dream that was kind of confusing, or you wake up and like, oh, that was strange as heck. Now, I have revisited my near death experience so many times. Been with the angel that kind of showed me around my near death experience, comes and visits me pretty often in the dreams, and he took me back to where I died on the bed,
Oh wow.
and he showed me how I died, or when I died, and what came to get me.
Okay.
And it was actually, I saw the angel of death, and these demons come up around me in the bed, and they were arguing over who was going to get me first.
Really? Man.
Yeah, and then death said, "Thy God's will be done. You are released." And then they just literally grabbed me and pulled me through this black portal. It was a black swirling portal kind of deal. And the next thing
Okay.
that point, I never saw that before up until I did have the vivid dreams. I don't think I said that before to anybody,
Well,
anywhere actually. So during my near death experience, what I remembered up to that point was total blackness, void. I didn't have a body. Couldn't hear. I yelled, tried to yell. I couldn't hear myself yell. Couldn't hear myself breathe. couldn't hear my own heartbeat. You know, if you stay real still and you can hear your heartbeat in your ears every
Yeah.
once in a while,
Hmm.
nothing, not a
Wow.
thing. And I floated there forever and a day.
Now, what would you tell somebody what to do if they had a near death experience? What should a person do that's really don't know what's going on? What do you recommend?
Pray to God. You know, that's that's one of the things God has put upon me was, you know, I can't answer prayers if you don't pray. You know,
And
we
you're praying, is it the Hail Marys, Our Father's glory bees, or is it just talking to him?
no, it can be that formal. But you know, I've caught myself, you know, like I'm sitting there drinking a cup of coffee, and I've had a good cup of coffee, and say, "Well, thanks for that good cup of coffee," or "That was a rotten cup of coffee," and I'll, you know, he just wants you to talk to him about every little thing.
Right.
You know,
Well,
you
where I found, I'm
you
sorry, go
probably think I'm going nuts because I talk out loud to him.
ahead.
So,
My, I got where I get my peace with God when I talk to God is on my front porch, and I don't do the prayers. I just sit down and I talk to Him, and I
mm,
do talk out loud myself. And then my mom comes out and wants to know at 2 in the morning who in the hell I'm talking to. So it's kind of like funny, you know. But
uh,
God has been really big in my situation. Um, I finally accepted him. You know what I mean? I know that Lord help me out today. You know, I need help. You know, something like that. But and he was very very protective of me whenever I would go into houses or buildings or even graveyards, cemeteries where there was actually pure evil, and he would be there with me.
God has answered prayers that I haven't even uttered in my own head. You know, I'll have it in the back of my head and kind of ruminate over it, not really form a good thought about it, and then they're answered, and like I was just barely thinking about that. You know,
Yeah, I know.
that kind of deal, and you kind of realize what the heck. And to go back to these the dreams, the weirdest dreams I could possibly come up with. I wake up from and say, well, how in the heck that it could that be even plausibly true?
Hmm.
I mean, you know, I've had several about confirmations, and when I wake up the next day, this one of the strangest ones I dreamt of something in the future, and I was in a cave, and the sky was red, and there was a battle going on, raging battle, and a lot of stuff happened in that dream.
Hmm.
And I woke up from that, and I was like, how in the hell? You know, am I just did I have a stroke? Is that what's so fascinating? Do I have seizures at night that's causing these really vivid dreams or whatever? And within a couple hours, I get a phone call. Shawn, I've got to tell you this dream I just had.
Yeah.
And the person that called me said, it was put upon me to tell you this dream. And it was the same dream I had, but from her point of view. Later on that night, I had a guest by the name of Sue from Florida. And we talked, and she said, I got to tell you about this dream. Same dream from her point of
Wow.
view.
Wow.
Later that day, and I'm like, whack, whack, whack. It was like God saying, hey, buddy, I've shown you twice that dream was real.
Right.
And I've had several occasions where things have been told to me in the dream. Actually, there was a strange thing where Lucifer was in my dream just trying to get me to trust him just a little bit. He was mixing truths with spinning all kinds of different things, and little bits and pieces of what he said come true. And it just it boggled my mind. I was like, holy cow.
Right. Now, do you have a besides God? Do you have a specific angel or spirit guide that is with you that helps you through this sometimes?
The one, uh, the angel that met me when my near-death experience started. I won't divulge his name here because I know the name now. But
Hmm.
before I had started doing these lucid dreams and stuff, uh, I explained that what I remembered this angel's name was how it felt to me. I couldn't
Okay.
give you the name. It was like somebody walking in that I loved behind me and I didn't see them, didn't
Hmm.
hear them or anything like that, and you just felt them. That was the presence was this angel's name, and I nicknamed him Bob. Just as a
Okay.
joke.
Okay.
So Bob has visited me quite often. There's two other ones that have visited me. There's another angel that hadn't visited me in the last 3 days, 4 days, 4 days, but visited me almost 10 days in a row. And I hadn't quite
Wow.
come up with the idea if he was a fallen angel or if he's a holy angel yet.
You don't see when that's because my guardian angel is Archangel Uriel. That's my that's my angel
Hmm.
who's with me 24/7 all the time. And he's not a happy, go lucky, very loving type of angel. If I'm screwing up, you know what, dude? He'll tell me. He'll show me I'm screwing up. But, I'd be sitting on my porch and I'm doing my meditating, and then all of a sudden I'll see angels starting to surround me, right?
Hmm.
But for some strange reason, those angels, some of them angels, turn into fallen angels. Do you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
can tell by the tips of their wings.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
crazy,
had.
dude.
Here's one I have not told out in public yet. I've had a series of dreams where I wake up in the dream in this huge underground. It looks like a cathedral, but it's
Okay.
massive. It's more massive than any church I've ever been in, even New York City. But I woke up leaning against the rock wall, and there was I couldn't tell you how many thousands of these different size angels, different shapes, forms, and fashions. There was angels 50, 60 feet tall. Some were as small as a rock. Some of them
Wow.
looked like a rock. I remember getting up from the seated position, and I looked at this rock, and I thought, the floor was clean. As soon as they recognized I was in here, they kind of moved away from me,
Hmm.
and the rock just stood there, and all of a sudden it sprouted a dozen legs and moved off.
Oh, wow. That's craziness.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to show your video there you have set up for us?
Okay,
You make some.
go ahead and pop it up there, and I'll show it.
Okay, hold on. What's that? Add the stream.
All right. So this is actually me in the hallway camera. Give me just a second. Let me pull this up on my end so I can show you. I'm here in doing a podcast actually, and back here is the hallway. My bedroom is that second room back here, and I'm gonna let me play it just a few seconds of it. I don't. You might be able to hear me in there, but if you look back here, let me get this back here. If you look right here, if you can see
Oh yeah.
right there,
Well, that's
you see
Oh,
a
that
shit.
head
was a commonplace
sticking its
happening.
head. I'm the only one in this house.
Oh, wow.
Watch
Wow.
it move its head. And something I triggered my A assistant. You hear the Amazon thing?
Yeah, yeah.
That's playing in the back. I don't know how I triggered it, but it triggered it while I was doing that podcast. And this thing is sitting there looking around.
That's crazy, dude. That is like that.
And you can actually Shell in the chat had done a bunch of other stuff. I showed her this earlier today, or right before the show, and she showed me a couple of the things that was going on. And you can also see parts of its body right through here.
Yeah, well, the leg. I see a leg. I see like a leg or a foot sticking out right there, right where your mouse is at, right there,
Yeah.
right down
So,
there.
yeah, this was before I went through and blessed this house, and she said she saw something right here. And I don't know. Right here in front of this is the basement door right there. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and scrub through this and see if I can see it.
Okay.
See a torso. Yeah, it's torso and foot. Yep. Shell just texted me. Said she saw a torso and foot in chat. But you can certainly see this thing kind of looking at the end side of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. But
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, the story I was telling you about when I roll in through here, the upstairs, it felt like, up to that point where I blessed the house, it felt like something was looking down at me. And
Okay.
I can honestly tell you, I've had occasions where I've seen black shadows in my bedroom. There was actually one after I got back from, came back here, I think the first couple of months, and I
Mm-hmm.
started staying in this room. And I woke up and I saw something in the corner that was same size, about 5 feet, maybe a little bit shorter. It was dark, pitch black. Looked at it, and at that time, I just got back from, the near-death experience was consuming my every thought in and
Right.
out during the day while I was awake anyway. And I got up on my elbows and I looked at it and I said, I'm going to find out if I can stick a broomstick up your ass. And I said that out loud, and that thing just went,
Wow.
silently just went through. And I closed this door for various reasons, mostly just because to keep the heat in, the cold in, and depending on the time of
Mm-hmm.
year. But I just keep that door closed. I've had something kick that door open one morning.
Ooh. Okay.
And I have, I've had this camera does night vision stuff, and I've seen stuff kind of, you know, on the outside of this door moving around, discombobulated.
Do you
So,
think it's a lot of Cherokee? Do you think it's the Native Americans, the Cherokee tribe? What's your feeling?
it might be. I have no clue. It could be part of the family that owned this house, built this house. I
Have you done
I don't
research
know.
on it?
I don't
Have
know.
you did you do research on your house?
We knew the family that owned this place, and I've talked to my aunt a couple of times, and I remember my grandmother and grandfather tell me some stories about the family that had this place,
Mm-hmm.
and I researched a few things. And my next door neighbor that's behind me, he used to rent a room in that old grocery store on the third floor, and he told me some stories. So but outside of that, no, I hadn't done any official
Okay.
research in this whole place. But this whole place is made out of cherry wood.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and you open this door up and you go
Oh,
downstairs.
hold on. Let me put it back up for people.
Okay.
There
Nobody's
you
on.
go.
Okay. If you let me move this thing out of the way down here. So you open this door up and you go downstairs and to the left and you go back. And let me share out the basement security thing. I actually got two basement security things. I don't know how much time we got left.
We got about 5 minutes, bud.
Okay, I'll show one. I'll show one. Just one real quick. Let me get the window open here and get this basement. There you go. And the reason I have this camera down, actually, this is the first camera I ever had in this place. I put it down just because the basement likes to have a little water in it, but if it gets a little too wet down there, I'll turn on the backup sump pump.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look over here in the upper left-hand corner,
Right.
watch this thing up here.
Holy. Oh wow, dude. That's not an orb. That's like a ghost. That's a spirit, man.
Yeah, and I've heard a bunch of stuff down there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna go ahead and play it again so you can. sit there and watch it.
That's crazy, dude. That's
So,
insane.
I've heard all kinds of stuff down here, and then I've had people that have come in here, and as soon as I open the door, and they're like, I ain't going down there, man.
No, that's the first place I'd go. That's the
Yeah.
first place I'd go, my man.
So Danielle Diva, she thinks that someone was tied up down here and was tortured
I,
down here.
you know what? In all the old houses that I have investigated, and I've gone down to the cellar, there were places in the cellars that there was like where they got punished, where they got beat. If they
Hmm.
did something wrong. Oh yeah, you could just feel the energy in the air.
Well,
Well,
there
we
was.
got. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
No,
Well,
you're first.
there was one little lady that I didn't find this out until maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. That was the daughter of the purveyor and the builder of this house. That he never let out of this house.
Oh,
She was sequestered upstairs,
oh wow.
and to my knowledge, the story I was told, she wasn't even allowed to go to church. But she did the bookkeeping for the grocery slash feed store, whatever you want to call that thing, and that's it. And I kind of wonder if that was the little young lady that was up at the top of the stairs.
That possibility. Yeah, she kind of likes you. She'll follow you now. I would think she would follow you because she feels protected.
I hadn't seen a hiding or hair
Uh,
nothing in here up until last couple of days, like last week.
well, be prepared, my friend. But Shawn, tell us real quick about your show and
My
where
show
they
right
can
now,
find
I
you at.
run it Wednesdays and Saturdays over on Chasing the Truth Shawn G on YouTube. Um, just look it up, put in Chasing the Truth and Shawn, it'll jump up in your Google search.
Okay.
And I do my show a little bit different. I start the show with a prayer and end the show with a prayer.
Okay. That's cool.
And
Would you like to end it? Would you like to end this show in a prayer? You're more
sure,
than
I can do
welcome.
that. I can. Let me pull up my prayer list right here real quick, and we can do that. But I do live call-ins, unscreened calls. I know a lot of people kind of go, "Oh my God, I can't do that." And it just, I had the goofy people
Hmm.
that wind up and be asses on air or whatever. But that's the ones I like to play with. I don't get them very often. I'll get a drunk
Right.
every once in a while, or you get the people that little teenagers will curse real quick over and over and over again, and you're like, oh, there's nothing I can do with that. Click and block
Yeah.
them, kind of. But yeah, it's part of the fun. You never know. But
Before we close with your prayer, I want to thank you again for coming on. It is so good to see you.
oh
Please
yeah,
send
anytime,
please send me
anytime, man.
your number again, and I
Okay,
want to definitely keep in touch because I feel like honestly, and I'm not being weird, I feel like we're connected in some certain way besides first names.
first
Um,
times.
so this is I any everybody out there, children, please, if you can, go to your parents and give them a hug and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. Those three words, I love you, go a long way. And on
Hmm.
that note, we're going to close. I'll say happy hunting, and we'll close on Shawn's prayer.
Father God, I beg that you allow me to come in your presence one more time. Lord Jesus Christ, in thy love and mercy, establish a perimeter of protection around myself, Shawn, and anyone else that is in the chat participates in this show, and myself and all our loved ones, those who pray for us and their loved ones. May the holy angels guard us and all our possessions, establishing a perimeter of protection around us, rendering us immune from any kind of demonic influence. Ask that no demonic bondage, door, demonic entity, portal, astral projection, or disembodied spirits may enter here in the space of 100 yards in all directions of us. Ask that any demons that within this vicinity, or any that should try to enter here, be rendered deaf, dumb, and blind, that thou would strip them of all weapons, armor, power, and illusions and authority, that thou would bind, rebuke, and disable them from communicating or interacting with each other in any way. Remove them, sending them directly to the foot of thy cross. Jesus, Son of the Most High, I ask this in thy glorious and most holy name. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Good night, everybody. And I want to thank everybody who participated in the chat. Good night.
Good night, folks.